In this lesson, I'd like to use something called ArrayAccess in order to make it easier for us to bind and resolve classes. Now, before we get into that, back in our container test, I'd just like to mention that our code coverage isn't as high as it could be. In other words, we haven't tested everything that we could have tested, and that's because I wasn't really trying to test the class. I was just trying to give you a taster of how you would do it and how you would go about it. So with that being said, we're going to create one more test. We're going to call this public function test ArrayAccess works as intended. And we're just going to write this test really quickly. We're going to say this container bind foo, and we're going to bind that. Actually, let's call it cooks to avoid confusion. And we're going to bind that to this bar class down here. And actually, I did that wrong. We should be doing it using this method. And you'll notice that it looks kind of like an array, hence the name ArrayAccess, and we'll be getting into how it works in a couple of moments. We just need to quickly say object equals this container cooks, and we're going to say this assert instance of bar object. So if we run this, we're obviously going to get an error. Cannot use object of type as array, and that's because we haven't implemented ArrayAccess yet. So let's do that. Class container implements ArrayAccess, and we need to add a use statement for that. Now, if we go to our browser and hit refresh, we're going to get this error, and that's because the ArrayAccess interface contains, well, if we refresh again, 4 abstract methods. So let's add those quickly. We have offset get, which takes 1 parameter. We have offset set, which takes key and value. We have offset exists, which takes key. And finally, we have offset unset, which takes key. And I think they're all spelled correctly. Let's check. Yep, great. So in offset get, we're going to resolve the class and return it. So return this resolve key. In offset set, we're going to bind the dependency. So, well, bind the class. Let's bind value, key value. Offset exists, we're going to return array key exists, key, this bindings. Offset unset, we're just going to unset this bindings key. So, if we run the test now, we get green. Perfect.